Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to request you to all to stand for the national anthem of Kenya. Please be seated, everybody. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure that I welcome the First Lady of Kenya, Mrs. Rachel Ruto, as our distinguished guest of honor at the special session of the UN Science Policy Business Forum at UNEA 6. With this plenary, we launch the afternoon session, which will explore tracking financial flows to nature and nature-based solutions with expert panelists from the private sector, government, science, and society leaders. As this segment of the Science Policy Business Forum will show, nature-based solutions are crucial for cost-effectively addressing climate change, biodiversity loss, and land degradation, and for achieving nature and climate targets is impossible without them, of course. However, NBS are significantly underfunded, receiving just a third of the $542 billion needed annually by 2030 to meet climate, biodiversity, and land degradation goals. This funding needs to quadruple by 2050 to fulfill Rio Convention targets. In Africa, an additional $21 billion per year is required for NBS by 2030, increasing to $35 billion by 2050. Investment opportunities in Africa are largely in protecting critical ecosystems with protected area management and avoiding deforestation being particularly cost-effective. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to invite first up UN Undersecretary General and UNEP Executive Director Inga Anderson to deliver her welcoming remarks.
Good afternoon. I'm learning this because we are in Kenya, Madam Ruto, and in Kenya we greet each other, right? So, good afternoon. And to you, Madam First Lady, Mama Ruto, if I may, it's such a pleasure to have you amongst us here. Of course, to you, dear President Leila, my friend and extraordinary minister, my dear sister Elizabeth Maruma Mrema, and my still sister, I hope, Sonja Layton-Kone, all protocol observed. Let me just say that it is a great honor for us here, Madame, to have you in our midst as we open this plenary and this discussion of the Science Business Policy Forum. The world has gathered here in Nairobi, Kenya, the home of UNEP, a place we have called home for 52 years, to seek multilateral solutions to the triple planetary crisis. The crisis of climate change, the crisis of nature and biodiversity loss, and the crisis of pollution and waste. And we are doing so because we understand that without a stable climate, without the lush of nature, and without a pollution-free planet, we really have no existence. And this session is building on nature-based solutions and how to finance them. And maybe I can open a bracket here and say that over in another hall, there is a group sitting negotiating around nature-based solutions. Can you please send them courage and encouragement so that, yes, I can see all your positive energy should go in that direction because we need to land this resolution. This morning, I was deeply privileged to accompany the First Lady to Karura Forest, where she inaugurated her new initiative to grow and nurture 500 million trees by 2032. Can we give her a round of applause? And this is a massive contribution to Kenya's national objective of 30% tree cover by 2030, which is an astonishing objective, and one, if everyone here will please plant 30 trees every day while they're here, isn't that right, Madam Ruto? Then we will be beginning to get to it because it's only 33 per person per year, and we will get this goal. It's a huge contribution from Kenya to the UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration, which is, of course, supporting commitments to restore nature, whether it is coastal mangroves or whether it's forest ecosystems across the world. But of course, we have to recognize that restoration and afforestation and land restoration are nature-based solutions. They slow and build resilience to the climate impact. They back vital biodiversity. They increase food security. They provide jobs and better health. And when done in an urban setting, as with Karura Forest, for example, they provide a vital connection between people and nature. 50,000 people visit Karura Forest every month, an urban forest here in the heart, one of a great history of insisting on protecting nature. But unfortunately, we have to say that nature-based solutions are underfunded globally. They receive only 200 billion globally per year, less than a third of what is needed to meet the 2030 climate, biodiversity, and land degradation goals. They're not just underfunded, they're being undone by $27 trillion of nature negative finance that flows annually from harmful subsidies and investments. And when we consider the imbalance of these numbers, it's clear that realigning nature negative financial flows is the best way to halt and reverse nature loss. After all, our own actions on nature is what's causing it to degrade. And so to do that, we need to change some of the incentives. And incentives essentially means policy. And policy is based on science, which is why you're finding yourselves in the Science Policy Business Forum. Because when we're looking at the investment opportunities, particularly, say, in Africa, protected area management and avoiding deforestation are particularly cost-effective. Globally, protection-related nature-based solutions represent roughly 80% of additional land area needed by 2030, but require 20% of additional finance. So it's a worthwhile investment. But of course, once the protected areas are established, they need to be managed and maintained. And many countries have limited fiscal space to do that. We have to understand they have to prioritize roads and children and safety and clinics and schools, and who could not understand that? And that is why it's very interesting what Kenya has launched in as a financial instrument at the Africa Climate Summit under the President of the Kenyan Republic, President Ruto's leadership. And there are many ways of mobilizing that investment, but let me zoom in just on one, and that's debt for climate and for nature swaps. These swaps can potentially provide solutions to the interconnected challenges of debt, which I'm sad to say that many countries, especially in the global south, have, but also the interconnected challenge of climate change and nature loss. And that's an opportunity because when we have this heavy debt, often sovereign debt, the debt crisis and the hangover that many countries are suffering from COVID-19, where obviously the fiscal space limited anymore, these kind of opportunities, which we need to explore more, can really open up the fiscal space, leverage additional finance, develop regional approaches for shared ecosystems. And there are some examples of this. Ecuador recently did a debt for nature swap of $1.1 billion in repayments, and it provides 450 million of that for conservation. Gabon, and I met the minister just 5 minutes ago, has a 500 million marine conservation deal. So these deals are also deals that UNEP are exploring in the debt for nature and climate swaps in the Latin American and Caribbean region. And as Africa leans into and gets more interested in this, this is clearly an opportunity that we also see here on the continent, in these countries that wish to engage. We have a proposal on the docket from the Green Climate Fund for a project in the Kingdom of Eswatini, which includes laying the foundations for Eswatini's debt for nature swap mechanism. And connecting these initiatives is a really brilliant idea, and we can learn from between countries what works. So, Your Excellency, friends, distinguished participants, the world has, over billions of years, evolved into this incredibly complex system that provides not just the resources that we depend on, but also the services that no amount of technology can replace. The air you breathe, the water you drink, the food you eat, the happiness you get from walking in nature. No technology or screen can give you that. And so when we look at a sustainable future and at the solutions that we have to find to the triple planetary crisis, remember this: all other species live in perfect harmony with nature. Everything recycles from all other species except us. So what is it then that we need to do? We need to right now focus on getting our financial incentives right, so that nature can get better in balance, so that we can be in balance. And we do that by backing nature, by backing nature-based solutions, by sending positive energy to the negotiators. And I really look forward to hearing about the solutions that will be forthcoming from this assembly. Thank you.
Thank you very much to the Executive Director for setting the scene there. Sending positive energy to the negotiators, I think, is an important one. Thank you very much indeed. It's my pleasure now to invite Leila Ben Ali, President of UNEA 6 and Minister of Energy Transition and Sustainable Development for the Kingdom of Morocco, to the stage. Madam President, the floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'll also try to send some positive energy to everyone, actually, in UNEA this week. Your Excellency, First Lady, thank you very much for being here with us. My dear friends in UNEP, Excellencies, all protocol observed, and dear friends, and esteemed colleagues also from the realms of science, policy, industry, finance, and civil society. It's really an honor to stand before you today as the President of UNEA 6 to open this special session of the UN Science Policy Business Forum under this very important theme, integrated solutions for people and the planet. And as we gather here, our shared commitment to environmental stewardship unites us in a quest for multi-sectoral cooperation, as ushered by the important work of UNEP, the important work of the UN Science Policy Business Forum, in alignment with the vision of the UNEA 6 presidency. This opening session, shaping our common future, and common is actually the key word here, highlights the importance and urgency of our collective action. And science, policy, and business, each one of these hold one key to, and have everything to gain in working together to preserve our planet. And this cohesive approach, we are hoping, should be marked by synergy and mutual support. And that's, and I'm starting to get into policy and business, whether to build investment cases for large-scale, credible mitigation solutions, large-scale renewable energy programs, and so on, or to fund adaptation or nature-based solutions or ecosystem restoration efforts, or also increasingly, and that's why I'm surprised my friend Inger Andersen, I know she's passionate about this issue, to increasingly assess the full impacts of some unilateral scientific efforts, air capture, geoengineering, and so on and so forth. And I'll stop there, my dear friend Inge. Scientific research and innovation play an essential role. They offer impact, insights, they provide the technological advancements that are necessary for transformative change and even change in mentality. Policymakers, like myself, it's only when we are armed with scientific evidence and business experience that we can craft sounder regulatory frameworks and more informed incentive programs or investment programs. So UNEA, as a resonating platform, is as universal as its values, the values that it upholds. Through its ministerial declaration and the resolutions that we are negotiating as we speak, UNEA provides leadership and catalyzes intergovernmental action on the environment, contributes to the implementation of the UN 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. UNEA is also a decision-making body. I'm reminded of that every day. So it's a unique opportunity for countries to amplify the science, policy, and technology-based solutions for sustainable development. And don't get me wrong, UNEA has positioned science as a central pillar. In Resolution 5/8, an expert group, for example, on the science policy interface for the sound management of chemicals and waste and pollution prevention provided us with unique knowledge contributions. But in strengthening the collaboration and the interface between policies, science, and businesses, we also face challenges. And among them, we need to ensure access to accurate, science-based, timely, and non-biased data. So all of us, let's not be afraid to ask questions. Let's not be afraid of the divergences that may emerge, because they all mean progress. And the other challenge that we have as policymakers is that we can't wait until everyone is convinced. We can't wait until everyone is on board. We faced post-COVID slowdown. We faced debt issues. We faced sticky inflation. Geopolitical issues that are actually accelerating some inflation in every part of the world. Accelerating climate change, environmental degradation, escalating geopolitical shocks. They have all strained us to achieve and reach most sustainable development goals. We cannot afford today to deprioritize this century's triple planetary crisis against, and I see it every day as a policymaker, pressing social and economic development challenges. This is where the role of science, policy, technology, and business are critical to define new ways for advocacy, new ways to pledge on these pressing issues. Later this week, I will announce an initiative of UNEA 6. We called it the Alliance for Goodwill Environmentalists, and it's an example of this new multilateralism in action and at work. And this alliance, over the next few months, is definitely recognizing the need to create a sense of urgency on many issues, but 3 of them seem to be at the forefront: plastic pollution, lethal humidity, and soil health. This is coming from this alliance of scientists, business people, and policymakers. So as we embark on this transformative journey, let's leverage the power of such alliances. This is one example of many alliances that we can use. Combining the strengths of the private sector, the vision of our scientists, and the rigor of scientific inquiry, and I'm hoping the wisdom of politicians and policymaking. The UN Science Policy Business Forum at UNEA 6 could be the place to do so. This convergence is the only way for us to pave the way for a sustainable and a peaceful coexistence between ourselves and with nature. The Summit of the Future also awaits us in New York in September, and it's our duty to ensure that it becomes a testament to what humanity and humanism can achieve when we stand together for a greater cause than all of us. Let's identify those new ideas that come from the synergies of those three sectors, and when we can apply the vision, a new vision for the future, a new vision for advocacy, and lead the way. Thank you very much, and I wish all the best for this Science Policy Business Forum, a productive day and productive discussions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam President, for those words, and I wish you the very best of luck in the coming days. We heard earlier, of course, from Inga Anderson what a busy morning the First Lady has had, so we are truly thrilled and thankful that she has found the time to share a few thoughts with us today. Please do welcome Her Excellency, First Lady of Kenya, Mrs. Rachel Ruto.
Thank you. We may be seated. Your Excellency Leila Ben-Ali, President UNEA 6 and Minister of Energy, Transition and Sustainable Development of the Kingdom of Morocco, Ms. Inga Anderson, Executive Director, United Nations Environment Program, UNEP, Honorable Esther Passaris, Women Representative, Nairobi County, Ms. Elizabeth Murema, Deputy Executive Director, UNEP, Ms. Sonja Langton Kong, Deputy Executive Director, United Nations Office for Project Services, UNOPS, the UN Science Policy Business Forum on Environment, government leaders and officials present, distinguished guests, partners, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Good afternoon. I think we had a sumptuous lunch, didn't we? Good afternoon. It's good to see all of you. It is an honor to join you today for the UN Science and Business Policy Forum on the sidelines of the 6th session of the United Nations Environment Assembly, UNEA. Receive greetings from the President of Kenya, Dr. William Ruto. Thank you. I extend a warm welcome to all of you, not just to this forum, but also to our beautiful country. Kenya is a land of breathtaking landscapes, diverse ecosystems, and a rich cultural heritage deeply rooted in nature. We are honored to share this tapestry of wonders with you, and we trust that you are enjoying our warm Kenyan hospitality. I want to thank Ms. Leila Ben-Ali, President, United Nations Environment Assembly, and Minister of Energy, Transition and Sustainable Development of the Kingdom of Morocco, and Ms. Inga Anderson, Executive Director, United Nations Environment Program, UNEP, for joining us this morning as we launch the First Lady's Landscape and Ecosystem Restoration Strategy at Karura Forest. The strategy and implementation plan we launched this morning is geared towards growing 500 million trees by 2032. This strategy represents a commitment to both the well-being of our communities and the conservation of our natural resources. As a nation, we are privileged to host the United Nations Environment Programme, UNEP, a beacon of global environmental stewardship. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, this Science and Business Policy Forum that is running alongside the United Nations Environment Assembly serves as a crucial platform for collaboration between science, policy, and business. Together, we can harness the power of research, innovation, and entrepreneurship to drive transformative change and pursue our environmental objectives. I applaud the approach adopted by the UN Science and Business Policy Forum that leans towards cooperation with partners to provide policy guidelines and technology-driven solutions that assist in the realization of environmental goals, such as the strategy we launched this morning. Nature-based solutions hold tremendous potential for addressing the interconnected challenges we face. They offer us a pathway to mitigate climate change, conserve biodiversity, and achieve sustainable development. By investing in solutions such as renewable energy, sustainable agriculture, ecosystem restoration, and green technologies, we can build a future that is both prosperous and in harmony with nature. The end result of this collaboration will be to instill a sense of ownership and responsibility for our environment, resulting in the creation of green jobs, enhanced ecosystem services, and promotion of biodiversity conservation. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, as we come together to address the pressing environmental challenges facing our world, we recognize the critical importance of financing in the actualization of nature-based solutions. It is through tracking and allocating financial resources that we can drive meaningful change and ensure the successful implementation of sustainable practices. Let us seize this opportunity to share knowledge, exchange best practices, and explore innovative solutions that will propel us towards a sustainable future. We need to pool resources together to finance nature-based solutions, implement our ambitious tree-growing strategy, foster sustainable development, and drive positive change at scale. I call upon all like-minded organizations, philanthropic, private sector, research and science community, as well as individuals who share our commitment to join us in this endeavor. I extend my deepest gratitude to all delegates attending the 6th edition of United Nations Environmental Assembly, UNEA, and the UN Science and Business Policy Forum. Kenya is honored to host this significant gathering, and we are committed to working hand in hand with you towards sustainable solutions for environmental sustainability. I wish my best regards to the high-level panel that will be taking place this afternoon, and we look forward to seeing the resolutions of the panel. I will be leaving you as I have another engagement. I am sure you will have a great deliberation. And I have my technical team that is here that will be left behind so that they can be part and parcel of the forum today. Maybe I'll just ask them to stand so that you can see them. Thank you so much. You can have your seats. Thank you for your kind attention. God bless you all. God bless our beloved country, Kenya. God bless Africa. And God bless the globe. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, First Lady, for those words and for setting up the next panel so eloquently. Ladies and gentlemen, as we continue with today's discussions, I kindly ask everyone to remain seated while the First Lady makes her way to her next engagements. Your cooperation is greatly appreciated, ensuring this respectful and orderly transition. We're going to resume the panel discussions immediately following this very brief interlude. Thank you for your patience and understanding. If I could ask all the panelists for this next session, the Tracking Financial Flows, to come to the front of the room, just down here, over the next couple of minutes, so that we can get you mic'd up for this next session. Everyone else, if you could remain seated, the program will resume shortly. Thank you very much.